Hello Inkathon, this is Ankush and Asutosh, and we will be demonstrating our project Pokemon Marketplace. So we have used the Inkathon boilerplate to make this web app where we are using our smart contract which we wrote to create a marketplace system where we can buy and sell Pokemons for a mini game that we created. So on the left you can see the Pokemon shop where we can buy different Pokemons, and to the right you can see the Pokemons that I own on my account. So if I change my account, if I use the account 2 which does not own any Pokemon, the list on the right side will be empty. And then I can choose any one of the Pokemon from the left side. Let's say we want to buy Squirtle. So we click on buy and a transaction confirmation pops up. And when we approve this, you can see that the Squirtle Pokemon appears on the right side under my Pokemon. And when I click on use in battle, it says Squirtle is selected, and then I can click on battle and the mini game starts, and I have the options to attack, defend, or forfeit the match. So upon attacking, you can see that the health bars for the Pokemon decreases, and whenever a specific Pokemon loses all of its health, the game ends. As you can see that the opponent Pokemon Caterpie has lost its health first, and it says you won. So this was a sample of our web app. Here you can see that we can use our smart contract and it has all of these functions. Get item counts, returns account for the total number of items that have been listed on the marketplace. Get specific item, returns the data for the specific items that we want for. Let's suppose that uh, the data for item ID 0, which is Pikachu. It has the tags for the name, game name, the URL for the image, its price, the maximum supply and current supply, also the seller address, and a list of owners that own this particular item. Next, you can see that on item ID 1, we have Bulbasaur and all the details related to it. Next function, we have get item. It is also similar to get specific item, but this function only returns one single item. Get all suppliers returns a list of all the account addresses that are selling on the contract. Get supplier items returns a list of item IDs that a particular account is selling. So if you choose account 2 which is not selling any items, it returns an empty list. And if you select account 1 which is selling all of the items, it returns the item IDs 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Next, if we use get owned items and click on account 2, it tells us which item IDs this particular account owns and also the quantity for it. So as you can see, account 2 owns item ID 3 and owns one copy of item ID 3. If I click on account 1, it tells us that it owns item ID 0, 2, and 3, and the particular copies of it. Get all items returns a list of all the items and their data in the marketplace. And this is the function that I am using to list all the items on the Pokemon shop list in our web app. Next, we have the new item where we can enter all the details for an item that we want to list on the marketplace. So I can put in a sample item name, let's say uh, Metapod. We are entering the game Inkathon. The URI, let's take a URL, an image from Pokemon.com. So we are copying the image address for this Pokemon and pasting it in the URI part. And we want to sell it for 5 T0s and the maximum supply should be 20. After this, if we click on call contract, a transaction pops up, and as you can see that the execution result is 6, which is the item ID for this new item that we have created. And then if we go to get item count, it is also returning 6, which it was previously returning 5. And if we click on get item and pass in the number 6, since the indexing starts from 0, we have to pass in one less, which means 5, and it returns us the data for the new item that we just listed. If you go on to the Inkathon web app, you can see that another Pokemon has been listed in the list and we can also buy that. So when I click on buy, 5 T0s will be transferred from my account to account 2, since we are buying from account 2. And here you can see that we are now owning Metapod Pokemon, which we can also use in battle. Now I would like to show you uh, the Rust smart contract that we wrote. We have a contract called market and a structure item which contains all the data fields for every item that will be listed. The owners is a vector which consists of the account ID of the owner, two unsigned int 32s, which means for the copies number of copies owned and the number of copies they want to sell, and the price per copy that they are selling. Next we have the market structure, which is the state of our smart contract, which contains a variable count, the items mapping for the item ID and the item structure, a sellers to item mapping, which maps the account IDs to a vector of unsigned integers, the seller IDs, which is just a list vector of account IDs, and the owners mapping. Next, we have the default constructors, which initializes all the variables to its default values. Then we have all the functions that we previously saw on the contract interaction UI.